Pakistan, where have you been? Where have you been over the last 2 weeks or so? Because when you play like that, we are entertained. Pakistan's World Cup campaign is back on track. Is it too late? That's what we're going to discuss. To have what more? Sri Lanka's 1996 World Cup winning coach here with me. We're going to reflect on Pakistan's 7-wicket win over Bangladesh. And Dav has coached both Bangladesh and Pakistan. In that order, if I'm right.
Bangladesh first.
Then Pakistan.
And then Pakistan.
Yes,
right.
The news from the Eden Gardens in Kolkata, the iconic Eden Gardens, is that Pakistan have won easily. They have chased down 205 with the 106 balls remaining. We're going to see what that's done to the net run rate. We're going to talk permutations, combinations. First of all, that dressing room will be sort of a sigh of relief. We've got a win finally after 4 straight defeats.
It's a hugely contrasting dressing rooms tonight. But I'd say that richly deserved by the Pakistan boys. They showed signs of a real fight last game. Perhaps a little unlucky not to pick up the points, but they continued on with this game. And despite some outside noise and distractions, they were able to, despite losing the toss, get out there, compete hard. And in the end, it was really a one-sided affair.
Yeah, and when you say outside noise, it was quite a lot of noise. It was a big bang. Let's look at this scorecard, the match summary, which is on our screens. I'm just going to turn. Bangladesh, disappointing performance, 204 runs. In fact, on your screens, those top 4, they're the only 4 who got into double figures. That says a lot. Pakistan, what a comeback from Fakhar Zaman. 81, smashed it at will, show that intent that was missing all through. Abdullah Shafiq, his partner in crime at the top of the order, got 68. Mohammad Rizwan and Iftikhar finished it off in a blaze of glory. Sadly, another failure for Babar Azam, and 3 wickets, all 3 wickets falling to Mehdi Hassan Miraz. Okay, where do we start?
Well, Diggy, can I start?
Chase?
Just one little comment. I'm sure you would have agreed that we're seeing now a bit more enjoyment in the Pakistan faces. They're enjoying the competition, they're enjoying the game, they're enjoying each other's company.
The pressure's off.
Yeah, well, it is.
But that's what they say about Pakistan, isn't it? That, when their backs are to the wall, they supposedly play their best. They, in fact, gave it their all against South Africa, and we both know that they were an umpire's call away from winning that. Had they won that, they would have been on 8.
Yep. And
in the reckoning, in the semi-final reckoning, I think they're still in there.
1 game below, yeah. If they won an 8, they were 1 game below the others. So, yeah.
Okay. Just talking about Fakhar Zaman. He was the man in form, then he barely could buy a big score between, say, May and the Asia Cup. That bad form carried on to this World Cup, then they dropped him after the first game. And Shafiq came in, and then what happened to Shafiq? He then went and scored that 100 against Sri Lanka. He couldn't drop him after that. And then, now we have Fakhar Zaman coming back. What was different about the way he paced his innings? Was it just the approach that he looked to dominate?
I think a little bit of both, and also the third factor in that was a low target as well. It gives you the confidence. Plus the fact they finished off the first innings on a high, they come out to start the second innings on a high, and he was very, very positive. The wicket helped a little bit, I have to say. It was nicely coming onto the bat, under the lights. With a new ball, and it was a refreshing attitude towards opening the batting. He was positive. He struck the ball pretty much in the middle of the bat early, which gave him confidence. And some of the shots were just breathtaking. It was as good as any other hitter in this
Especially the
competition.
ones over cow corner. I think his most productive shot was the slog sweep. Yeah. But while he was hitting it, he was also putting a lot of muscle into it. And listen, the Eden's no small ground.
No, it's very fast ground, but you need to. Some boundaries are quite deep, and he got the ability and the strength to clear that, which clearly we saw. And they certainly have missed him. And really, when you said they dropped him for Abdul Shafiq, that's good. It was a good decision because look what he's done. But I think they could have reviewed this Imam al-Haq a little bit deeper in these last few games because...
But also Fakhar Zaman had that knee injury which came up. He was carrying that injury from the LPL, the Lanka Premier League.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's why they couldn't do much about it. But there's a graphics we want to bring up, and this is Pakistan's opening stand at this World Cup, and that perhaps tells us why they have struggled so far. They started off, remember, with 2 wins, and they lost 4 in a row. This is another win, their 3rd win. So this is their opening stands at this World Cup. Fakhar Zaman played the first game 15, then 16, then the 41 against India, then a big 134 in a big chase, right? Australia got a lot of runs, 364, 365 in that game in Bengaluru, was it? Yeah, small ground. And then you sort of 128 today. So when you look at it, significant scores just 3. The 134, the 56, this is the game that they lost, and today the 128.
So that Imam al-Haq and Abdullah Shafiq, that's not quite right. It should be Fakhar Zaman,
yeah,
right?
it should be Fakhar. Yeah, we'll get that change, yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, look, clearly other sides who are done well have much better numbers than that as their opening stands. And that seems to be a common thread with teams who are doing well in the competition. But this really reflects a team that's clearly losing their wickets fairly early. One end's opened up, and generally 1 wicket becomes 2, and there's pressure on Babar Azam. At the start of the tournament, also couldn't really get many runs. So, you know, the result is that pressure on that middle order, they failed. 1 win becomes 2, the confidence goes down. It's a whole host of things, and it was in a bit of a rut, couldn't get themselves out of it. But they're back, you know, less pressure. They showed signs last game, and now they continued.
Okay, if we have our points table, if you could bring that up, because that will sort of lead me into my next point of discussion. Now, do we have it? Do we have a points table? Okay, can you play? Okay, there is it. So Pakistan have just finished this game. Well, it's not updated. Let's update that and get it back. Let me look at the updated one on the ICC website. Okay, here you go. Pakistan up to 5th. The net run rate still in negative, but minus 0.024. So they are 2 behind New Zealand and Australia, having played a game more. Okay, we may not have the points table yet, but we do have Pakistan's remaining fixtures. Let's bring that up. And then let's look at the chances of Pakistan pulling off a miracle of sorts. Let's bring up Pakistan's remaining fixtures. Okay, the next game after this is New Zealand, who, remember, are playing tomorrow against South Africa. They've lost 2 on the bounce. Now, if they sort of end up losing that, then Pakistan versus New Zealand becomes a big, big game, because if Pakistan win that game, they're level on points with New Zealand. England already out. So, game on.
Game on, yeah. With New Zealand, though, yes, they've lost 2, but not in the way in which other teams have lost 2 or 3 or 4 in a row. You know, their confidence is not being taken too much of a dent against the points table, yes, but New Zealand have always been competitive. You know, even against India, they pushed them.
But when you look at the points table, the fact remains that they've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah,
and they could end up losing a 3rd. And perhaps we were guilty of just getting carried away by that win against England, because they haven't beaten any of the top teams.
And thereafter, their form has been very good too.
But they didn't beat the big teams. The big teams that played after that: India, Australia, now South Africa, then Pakistan.
Well, yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm just quietly confident that they will continue to be competitive. Yes, they have.
Can they win? That's a different story. But for the tournament right now, this is a good sign. Yeah. It's suddenly, if you're a Pakistan fan, you're thinking, okay, hang on, we can get there. We can sneak in, and if they sneak in, they're trouble for other teams.
I don't think so. Because they just haven't got the personnel. They have got a couple of the match winners, yes, with Afridi for sure, who was now joint leader of the wickets. But their batting is very suspect still, you know. And when you compare it to, you know, the other teams, they may have a day out, they may win. But to me, sorry, mate, but they're just not good enough yet.
Okay, but we don't know. We have seen abysmal Pakistan in the middle phase of this World Cup. Perhaps we'll see the good Pakistan. We see all three of them during a tournament. Perhaps we'll see them in the last 2 or 3 games. They were brilliant against South Africa. They couldn't close it out. They won this emphatically.
One small point, when they play New Zealand, it's a day game. It's a double header at Chinnaswamy. So there won't be any due.
Small ground.
Small ground, but day game. And I think, you know, it evens it out a little bit, both teams.
Okay.
So I think when you've got that day game scenario, generally the team that's better will win the game. You may get a result that the team's not so good because of the dew and the small ground and that sort of thing in a day night. But this is a day game, and I feel that brings it both to an even sort of level, and the team who is better will definitely win.
Well, that's you're the one who's predicting things. I'm not. I'm just asking you the question.
Oh, I don't know. There's some of the language.
Okay, we've got Pakistan's innings progression. Let's look at that. Let's look at how they got this chase going. I was very intrigued to see the Afghanistan run chase. They had 10 overs, we want to be here. And then they have something, we got here. And we should achieve the target in 48 overs. This is the game yesterday. But this is how Pakistan have chased it down. Important to say here that when you don't lose wickets, runs come fast.
There you go.
And there was a phase, 12 overs or so, when they weren't too far away from Bangladesh, except in the wickets column, Bangladesh had lost 3. Pakistan hadn't lost. This is where Fakhar Zaman took off with those 6s. There's still a lot of question marks. Why don't Pakistan show the same intent, the same power hitting, which we see from the other teams, specifically India, Quinton de Kock with South Africa. But once you do that, then it's
he's got the ability to do that, isn't he? He's got the ability to be compared to the other big hitters. Abdullah Shafiq is pretty much still finding his way, you know, test match opener, good play, good technique, and not and pretty good in the one-day game as well. But he's still learning a little bit of, you know, trying to be a regular opener, which I think he's made, you know, a lot of strides in achieving that. So yeah, Fakhar Zaman is the one that can be, you know, compared to favourably with the other muscle men.
Yeah, and he's done well in that 2017 Champions Trophy as well. Started this year with, 300s against New Zealand, but different series.
He's got a double 100 too, hasn't he? Double 100?
180 he got.
Okay.
His last big innings was 180,
yeah,
then it sort of, his form dropped off.
Yeah.
I think we have those numbers of Fakhar Zaman, in fact. Let's look at Fakhar Zaman's numbers in his last 5 one-day internationals. That will show you why he got dropped. But the time away seems to have done him a world of good. And Pakistan will be hoping they get that impetus from him so that he fires them into a possible semi-final spot. If they're in the semi-finals and they end up playing India, who it looks like are going to top the table, then they're going to be back here at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata.
Wow, what a game that would be then, you know.
Yes.
Well,
okay, we have an updated points table now. Okay, so Pakistan just about there. 6 there, Afghanistan 6. Bangladesh, unfortunately, officially out now. They're officially out now.
Yeah.
The first team to be officially knocked out. We've called it much earlier. 6 straight defeat for them, and that's going to be very, very painful. We'll continue talking about Pakistan, and then we'll get to Bangladesh because I think we need to talk a lot about what's gone wrong with Bangladesh as well. But you have one final opportunity to sort of change your predictions. You think it's going to still stay the same? I'm telling you, it's Pakistan, all bets are off.
No, I think it'll stay the same, but I think the order might change. I think 3 and 4 might swap over. And I think 2 will stay. I think
1 and 2 stay.
Yeah, I think 3 and 4 may alter. But
if New Zealand win tomorrow, then it's more or less over. For this tournament to stay alive, for us to have an interesting last 10 days heading into the semi-finals, South Africa have to win tomorrow.
Yeah.
If South Africa don't win, then New Zealand go to 10 as well. And I don't think the rest of the teams can then catch up.
Yeah, so they're pretty much hoping that
everyone's now hoping
South Africa
for South
win.
Africa.
Yeah, go the Proteas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do we have here now? Let's look at the Bangladesh innings. So before that, we have Babar Azam's numbers. In fact, we should look at that. You feel it's weighing too much on him at the moment? He should have been there at the end, finished it off.
Yeah.
Fakhar Zaman was hitting those sixes. He didn't need to get out and play that loose shot. The surround sound which we spoke about, we did a full show on it yesterday, on how Inzamamul Haq was removed. A lot of players talking about, a lot of voices talking, is Babar next? But in this World Cup, these are not numbers he will be proud of, and he's a class act.
No, he clearly shouldn't have got out tonight. But, you know, off-spin bowler bowling to a right-hand batsman, he felt he could take him on. But sadly,
to show Fakhar Zaman, who's part of that same company.
Yeah.
Mohammad Rizwan, Fakhar Zaman, Shaheen Afridi, same company along with Inzamamul Haq.
Yeah. The other thing I do still maintain that when you're sitting there, and he watched quite a bit of it, you know, a bit of carnage going on. When you're sitting watching the game, it looks easy because batsmen in the middle make it look easy. But they started with knocking it back. They played a number of balls before they started
pretty
to hit.
well. Lovely cover drive he played.
Yeah, but
looked in good nick.
Right, but the cricketing shots, they weren't, you know.
The agricultural variety.
It's a little bit early for Babar. If it came off and he hit it for a six, everyone will be happy and clapping and cheering. But that's the risk you take. And if you take a risk pretty early in your innings and it doesn't work out, then you're going to get a few criticisms.
Okay, since we're on Babar, it's time to get in some questions and some comments from you. Viewers who are watching this segment, we call it No More with What More. We'll also talk in detail about what's gone wrong with Bangladesh. But Farhan asks, where do you see Babar among all the wonderful Pakistani batters?
Oh, it's still early yet, really. I mean, when you hear a lot of the sections of the media trying to compare Kohli with Babar Azam, or comparing Babar
with Kohli.
Yeah.
So you can compare Kohli and Tendulkar. You can't compare Kohli and...
Way too early, you know. The guy's got a long way to go to get anywhere near Virat Kohli's figures and his career statistics. So, look, he's a wonderful player, there's no question. He's a bit of an artistry when it comes to batting when he's on song, but he's got a long way to go. I think you know, he's not yet reached that level that you can compare with, you know, some wonderful Yunus Khans and you know, Muhammad Yusuf Yahana,
Javed Miandad, Anwar.
Yeah. There's some greats over the years.
Go back in time.
But he's got the potential to do it, you know. You look at his career figures, he's got time on his hands. He keeps churning out those hundreds, you know, and it's going to take, you know, good, strong mental attitude to do that. So let's see. It's in front of him, and he's got the potential to certainly be compared to those greats.
Akshad has a stat. He said, Fakhar Zaman has hit more sixes tonight than Babar Azam and Imamul Haq have hit combined in their World Cup careers. Thanks, that's a good one. Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you, Akshad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Bangladesh. Is this the worst performance, Uruj asks, is this the worst performance by Bangladesh in recent times?
Of course.
And why is it so then?
Well, expectations were, you know, coming into this tournament, the expectations were quite high. However, as we got really close to final selections, with injuries to certain players, and you know, the main one being Tamim Iqbal, who wasn't sure if he should play, if he's not playing. I can play, but you know, I can only do this much. I need more time. Pick me and you know, manage me.
I'll only play one. Then that response from Shakib, And even Shakib has admitted, to be fair, that spat didn't look good. And that sort of divided the team, didn't it?
Yeah.
They've not come out of it, which is a shame because, as we were talking, this Bangladesh team qualified third in this ODI Super League for the World Cup.
Yeah, a lot of those were also home games as well.
A lot of weak teams, Afghanistan, Zimbabwe.
Yeah, a little bit like Pakistan too. They didn't play the main guys. So the point is, these things, I guess, happen with other teams as well, but it's not as visible. It's not public. Don't make it public. But they just seem to...
But was the onus on Shakib as captain not to give that interview?
I suppose so, yeah. That's I don't know if it's their psyche.
He is the greatest sportsperson across sports.
Yeah.
He is Mr. Bangladesh, if you could call
Is it in their psyche to do that, to go public and, say, I'm in the right, I'm going to tell everybody why I'm in the right, and I can understand what he's saying. We need 15 fit guys. But do it, privately, do it in the right company, do it behind closed doors with the right people listening to you. But I didn't like it coming out public, and it was just a terrible thing because they're good. Both of them are very good players, and to see that, disappointing.
Okay.
That didn't help.
You've coached both of them, haven't you?
Yeah. We brought them both in when I was there.
And both played an integral role in that defeat over India in 2007.
Yeah. Surely.
Tamim got a 50, so did Shakib as well.
Yeah. And Shakib, great fielder. Good all-round play. We knew he was going to be a gun because, he's a three-dimensional player.
Yep. Okay. But the problem with them was when Pakistan, we have that great pace attack. We haven't seen much of it, but we saw it today. 8 wickets fell to the Pacers. Let's talk about Shaheen Afridi. First, let's just look at the most wickets taken by a bowler in this World Cup. And suddenly, you see Shaheen Afridi up there, joint top with a certain Adam Zampa. Where does he come from? We were writing of Zampa, but he's suddenly gone up. He's
we knew
shot up the charts.
Yeah, Zampa had those figures for a few days. For a few days now. But Afridi was the one that sort of snuck up. He really disappointed.
Got a 5 in one game, 3 here, that's 8.
Yeah, he disappointed early, and we thought, oh, come on, man, And I was the one that was saying that maybe, there's too much responsibility on him. No Nazim Shah to help you out there. He became the number one trump card to lead the attack. He's trying really hard to pitch up and swing it, getting knocked down the legs for 4s and 6s.
As Rohit did in that Pakistan game.
But he's come back, he started to come back in the second and third spells. Now he's
finally taking wickets in the power
extended
play.
it
2
to
wickets
the power
today.
play. Yeah, wonderful effort. Because he's a good bowler, and you want to see good bowlers also perform, regardless of who they play for.
But I'll also tell you that if you are a premier bowler, not just for your country, and he probably thinks that he's up there in the world as one of the best bowlers up there, they will be hurting within, and he'll be trying hard, trying to figure out, why am I not getting wickets? Why am I not getting wickets? And now he's sort of found that missing mantra. And that's what is now reflecting on that most wickets tally.
Yeah, there's nothing. One thing I do, I'm not a bowler by any stretch, but I do know one thing: for performance, you cannot get good performance if you're heavy, if you're feeling heavy on your shoulders and your head. You got to relax as much as possible. And the more you fail, this is really crazy to say this. The more you fail, the more you've got to just free up the shackles. Just keep going and try and just release yourself from your body and go and perform. But the natural thing is to tighten up. And it doesn't work.
But the good players
it takes courage.
Find a way. The good players find a way.
Yeah, it takes courage to do that.
In fact, a record for him. He's become the fastest Pakistani to 100 ODI wickets. We have a list of who's the fastest overall to 100 wickets in one-day internationals. It's on the screen behind me. You have a Nepali cricketer, Sandeep Lamichhane, who's got there in 42 games. A lovely strike rate. Then you have somebody called Rashid Khan, who we've seen a lot of, not in this World Cup perhaps, but there. And Afridi's got there in 51, Stark 52, and Suckling. So 3 spinners, 2 fast bowlers. And most of these are in Pakistani conditions or in the Middle East where the ball doesn't do much.
No, it's a good statistic, And
basically almost 2 wickets per game.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so
Strike bowler.
That's the caliber of the guy, and he clearly was underperforming at the start. So I think he's found his rhythm, he's found his confidence, and I think he could be really testing.
Trump card right now.
He'd be testing.
Let's talk about the batting. What for you was the big problem? Because only 4 of them managed to reach double figures, but they were getting starts. I mean, there was a phase, there were 74, 3 that sort of revived, but wickets kept falling, and some of them tame shots.
And how many hundreds have they made? 1?
This World Cup?
Mahmudullah?
Yeah, just 1.
Well, and he got that at batting at number 7 when they were in all sorts of trouble, you know. So what we've got here is an inability to convert starts, essentially. But I also did a little exercise.
Yes, I was going to get to that.
Right.
You think it's this fluid batting order has let them down? Is that the right word? A fluid batting order or a merry-go-round, especially in the middle order? Because your openers seem to be set, and after that...
Yeah, 1, 2 and 3 are pretty much okay, right? But thereafter starts the problem, you know, and I'm not sure... In fact, I feel very confident that batsmen, if they're continually asked to bat in a different position, it becomes a little difficult for them because they're just unsure how to go about it. It also reflects in their training, in the nets, you know, how they visualise, how they prepare for competition if they don't know where they're going to play from one game to the next. And we have a horrible statistic. I just left the paper behind there, but this Mehdi Hassan Miraz, who I consider as a very, very good young player, and so does some very good judges around the world also agree. This guy's good, but he's batted from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8.
I'm trying to bring it up. I think I have it. Yeah. So Shanto has played 3, 4 and 3.
Yeah, 3 and 4, yeah.
Mushfiqur Rahim has played 4, 5, 6. Mahmudullah has played 5, 6, 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Saqib has played 6, 4, 5, 4, 5.
Look at the last one.
Tawheed Hridoy has played 7, 5, 7 and 7. And Mehdi Hassan Miraz has played 8, 7, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3. Is that your telephone number?
Well, you know, I ask the people watching it, what do they think? My feeling is it's very difficult if you don't know where you're batting. Because
but you could say he's not exactly a top order batter, so he's your, sort of use him as a pinch hitter, he's your floater.
Mehdi Hassan Miraz, he's got 100 opening the batting as well.
In the Asia Cup.
He's a very good player. I mean, if you look at him, you know, he needs to be developed properly. You know, I think his development is stalled a little bit, you know, in this series. He certainly, you know, knows where that off stump is with the ball. His little run up and, you know, jump and land and bowl is good. His fielding is good. His mental approach is good. And no matter how hard he tries with the bat, when you're asked to play in different positions, it becomes bloody difficult, really, you know.
Okay.
It's very sad.
But I don't know if they have a review over there like you have in Pakistan. But it's also end of the road for someone like a Saqib. I don't see him playing the next World Cup.
No.
He's played 7, 11, 15, 19, 23. This is his 5th World Cup. Change of guard happening over there as well. How do they bounce back from this? Because the way they are playing, they're not qualifying for the Champions Trophy. And they're a proud nation who love their cricket. They are passionate about the cricket. And what we've seen at this World Cup isn't a reflection of how close Bangladesh had got the gap. Remember? They were pushing India, they were pushing Pakistan, they were pushing the big teams.
There are many parts of the game in Bangladesh which comparative to a lot of big countries. You know, the amount of population they have, the amount of support that they get in every game, the media interest in it is huge. The financials that keep coming in that country is also very, very sizable. So, you know, it's something that, you know, needs to be in a healthy state. At the moment, it's not a very good place to be, and there will be definitely some, deep reviews conducted, and it's not a happy place at the moment, And I've been through some of this stuff before with different teams, and I can tell you it's not a good feeling at all. So you have to somehow or other, come out of it. If they can't, gee.
Need a dramatic reset, perhaps, a complete change.
There will
but
be.
It's also a very political structure. The Prime Minister gets involved.
Yeah.
Mashrafe Mortaza plays a big role behind the scenes. The bridge between players and the political establishment. The Prime Minister.
The President is pretty much, he gets right in there and he's involved. So, your chain of command is not so much, selector, captain selector, maybe a cricket committee and president. It's very often from captain straight to the top.
To the top. And there's a question here from Anni. I'm not sure that's the right pronunciation, but thank you for your comment. Is this World Cup, what we're seeing from Bangladesh, is their downfall? Is the reason Shakib Al Hasan's ego? He did not select Tamim Iqbal due to some personal issues. He only prefers to his own ego. They didn't prioritize their team in a big tournament. Strong words from fans.
Well, this is the sort of comments that,
Are you used to this?
These are the sort of comments, sadly, that come out publicly. That's not what you want. Whether it's right or wrong, whether he's right or wrong, to actually take the time to write that and send it, that's what's hurting, Bangladesh cricket. So they need to put a few things right.
Okay, let's talk about Pakistan, because the question from Hitesh, Fakhar Zaman and Wasim Jr. I was very impressed with that young boy in that last game against in South Africa.
Yeah,
Bowled his heart out.
And he's been fielding too in the first few games as well, with a very strong arm.
They've given Pakistan team the missing energy. Why were they in exile till now? Okay, we know Fakhar Zaman was out of form, and then he had picked up a knee injury, and he was carrying a knee injury, and sort of that aggravated, or perhaps you never know, it was just a reason to bench him. But is it too little too late? Let's bring up the points table again.
So you're talking about Fakhar Zaman or Abdul?
Wasim and
Mohammed Wasim.
We know what happened with Fakhar Zaman.
Yeah, that's right.
The question is, why were they in exile till now?
Yeah, I think...
Would results have been different had we had that sort of intent?
And it's the same old thing that, you go with what you think is your best combination with the bowling. I'm talking about Wasim now.
They went with Hassan Ali, who took wickets but was expensive.
Yeah, but you go with what you think is your best, right? And if they don't perform, then you have to make a decision. Do we back them? Do we show faith? Or do we bench a couple? You generally back them. Most selection committees and coaches will back the person who you think was going to be good enough from the start. So you give them enough rope, which may be 2 games, 3 games, sometimes 4 games. And it got to a point where Wasim Jr. had to come in and, look at him. So that lends people a little bit like you to ask, why wasn't he there earlier? That's the reason.
Ashish, that's why we brought this up. Ashish has got a question, we've discussed this, we'll look at it more in detail. Tomorrow's match, very important for Pakistan, South Africa versus New Zealand. If South Africa win the match, then Pakistan have a good chance of making the semis. Let's get that points table back, and let's try and go from memory. Okay, Pakistan started off beating the Netherlands. Then they beat Sri Lanka that run chase. Then that loss against India, outplayed.
That knocked them around.
Then they got hammered by Australia, but gave a good account of themselves. They tried chasing it. It was a fight. I mean, you're chasing 360 odd. They pulled it back towards the end as well with the ball. I think that's where Afridi took those 5. Because 5 for 54.
Yeah. It could have been more.
Could have been more. Then what hurt them was the Afghanistan defeat. Really badly. And both of us agree they should have won the game against South Africa. Had those 2 results gone their way, they would already have been at 10.
Yeah.
And it's a hypothetical
ifs
situation.
And buts.
No, but
you're right.
South Africa game, we expected them, they should have won it. Let's be fair. That was out.
I can't argue with you.
Yeah, that's out. We both know that's out.
Yeah.
And the Afghanistan game, had they won, then they would have been up there, 10, in the game. And that's where a lot of teams wouldn't have been very happy seeing them there. They sort of know how to... But can they still make it? That's the big question. It all hinges on this game tomorrow, which they're not playing. South Africa, New Zealand. I think for the sake of the tournament, South Africa need to win that. Then if you're Afghanistan, then if you're Pakistan, then you're in the game, and Pakistan then start playing these must-win games. They suddenly have a second win. But tell me from a coaching perspective, you're down and out. Suddenly you see a glimmer of a hope. You've already achieved the worst. It's a story you said in school today. You asked the team to visualize what it is to be rock bottom. And once they visualize that, you ask them, now ensure it doesn't happen to you.
Well,
this Pakistan team has hit rock bottom.
Once you see a glimmer of hope, you cling on to that, and you fight like hell to ensure that you do the best you can to get that glimmer of hope shining bright. But the other thing I want to say, Diggy, when I look back, we saw teams that play India, a couple of times India chased, but when they bowled second against England, who was there? I think
India.
Yeah, when India bowled out England.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The point I'm making is, when you're in the middle of that cauldron and that crowd and the noise, it takes a special effort by individuals in the middle to cope with it. Clearly, Pakistan couldn't. And once that momentum shifted to India, it was just unbelievably difficult for
I was there for that game.
No, you were there.
I was there. And I have told this before. I went out and sat in the stands after Babar got out. The 150 something for 2. And then that crowd. Then the crowd started to get going. The crowd had sort of quieted down. Hardik Pandya started to get the crowd going. And suddenly the noise went up. The levels went up. The DJ got involved. And that Pakistan, the batters who came in, they crumbled under that pressure. And then dot balls happened. But hang on. You've seen some great Pakistani players we mentioned. You've coached some great Pakistani players. Some of the Pakistani players I grew up watching, they loved this atmosphere. They wanted to prove a point. Javed Miandad, Saeed Anwar, the Inzamam, Yusuf Yuhana, Mohammad Yusuf now, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, Shoaib Akhtar, he quietened the crowd in Kolkata.
How many of those playing in the current team?
None.
There you go. So,
but why is that? Why are they so timid?
I tell you,
that generation loved a scrap.
You can't even hear yourself talk. It is that loud. I've played in Eden Gardens in my only 7 test matches. You couldn't hear yourself talk. It takes a special person to be able to cope with it, and there are some greats who can do it. And when the momentum is going against you, my goodness. It is, all I'm saying is appreciate how difficult it is. Now, England couldn't do it, chasing a paltry score with their mega players. So, whoever plays India at a very, important stage of a game and the momentum swings against them, it's going to be really, really difficult.
I have a sort of counterpoint to that. Okay, you're in that cauldron, and you wilt. But that same cauldron exists for the Indian players when they're going into bat, when they go into bowl.
How?
They're batting as well, right? The noise, the crowd expects them. The crowd expects a century from Rohit. The crowd expects a century from Virat. Each boundary, the decibel levels go. So how are the Indians coping with it?
So you're saying to me that that's pressure on them?
It could be both ways, right?
Yeah, but what they're trying to say is they're not pressure on you. They're there to lift you. Look upon it that way. Don't look upon it as the billion people who's riding on your shoulders. You have to get runs, Virat Kohli. Think of it like they're pushing you up there. They want you to do it. Not that they're gonna get angry at you. They are there to help you. So if you can understand that fundamental, that'll be a difference. Pardon my throat.
Okay, so that's the cue for me.
No, it's okay.
Well.
This is good.
Keeping well. No, it's okay. This is an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Pakistan, Afghanistan keep fighting. They keep giving us moments like this to enjoy, because we don't want a World Cup where we are still in October, and we know who the 4 semi-finalists are. No, we want some more drama.
Yeah.
Like the one we saw in the Pakistan-South Africa game. Like the one we saw in the Australia-New Zealand game. We want more drama. Let's have some more results. Let's hope South Africa do everyone a favour. The other team still mathematically still in the hunt. And suppose they knock New Zealand over, then hang on, it's still not
Who are you
over.
going for?
South Africa. I'm going for a South Africa win, simply because I think they're just playing phenomenal cricket.
At Pune?
Pune.
Yeah, it's going to favour the pace bowlers.
Yeah.
So,
Ball comes on very well.
Yeah, it's going to be a good both.
And I just think that South Africa's pace bowlers are better than the Kiwi pace bowlers at the moment.
Okay.
Especially, we don't know the scene with Lockie Ferguson. He may play, we're told. Latham saying, I'm still not ruling him out, but you expect him, Saudi, to play.
Oh, yes, I think he'll play. And it's a mouth-watering contest as well. Another one, you know, really, really good.
2 good teams.
Fixture tomorrow, very good.
Hopefully we get a contest.
Yep, and it's a
You know,
day-night.
these one-sided games.
Day-night game, bit of dew.
In that game, yeah, you never know what
Okay.
happens there. Okay, time for me to wrap. Hopefully we have a glass of hot water for Dad's throat. I can't offer you anything stronger on air. But Pakistan showing us that if they're going down, they're going to go down swinging the way Fakhar Zaman did, bashing the ball over cow corner. This is Digvijay Singh Deo and Dave Watmore signing off. Good night. Hopefully you get your energy. We'll try and sort of fix our throats, and hopefully we get a cracking game. New Zealand versus South Africa on Wednesday from Pune. Good night. Goodbye.